Well, first, let's start with some bit of education. In the financial world, how important is a rating agency?
Well, good morning to your listeners and the people of Ododo. Yes, rightly said, we need some education, and I think the president himself needs much information and education, not to speak that way, that kind of ridicule us as a country, and put our presidency, seat of presidency, as a seat of ridicule. So now, with the opening of the financial market globally, that one can go out there on the global market to actually put an issue and have investors buy into that issue and raise debt on the global stage, necessitated the need for the rating agencies to actually rate and benchmark all who are interested in this credit facility or participating in those portfolios. And these benchmarks cut across each and every space. It is not as if a different benchmark is used for Ivory Coast as against Ghana. And there are scales that are used in the ratings. We have the foreign currency ratings, we have the local currency ratings, we have the issue and the issuer ratings as well. And what that means is that when you go out there to borrow, like we do on the stock exchange, when you want to issue an IPO, your initial public offer, you will go through a process and you put a document we call prospectus out there for people to buy your equity, which is also debt. Now, on the global stage, the similar thing happens. But when you put a prospectus in there, SEC will have to go through the prospectus and actually rate the prospectus. And that gives the investors that confidence to buy into your issue. Now, aside that, the issuer default ratings are also there, because when you have actually issue your IPO and all that, the stocks are traded in on the stock exchange. It is the same way when you have gone on to the international market and issue a debt. It is traded in, just like we do with the local bonds. People can go off it by redeeming, and others can pick it up by buying those debts again. So it is traded in. Now, it is for these credit rating agencies to constantly tell investors what your position is financially in terms of the issuer. Now, all the credit rating agencies have an assessment of credit risk of the debt issuers within a given structure and environment. So, you will be assessed globally, relatively to other debts. Your credit worthiness to other debts across the world. The reason why you have the local currency rating assessment is to determine your ability, you, the issuer, your ability to service your debt obligations with the currency of your country. And that is simply by saying that you are going to be assessed on your ability to generate the required amount of cash in your local currency. And for instance, if you would have checked when we had brought the e-levy and we claim that it is the panacea for everything, on the backs that we would generate 6 billion Ghana cedis out of that. The moment the e-levy was approved, our credit rating agencies actually improved our credit ratings in terms of the local currency rating, because we have demonstrated an ability to generate local currency, enough cash in our local currency through our fiscal policy to actually show that we can meet our debt obligations. Now, when this failed, then the rating agencies got back and downgraded us. So clearly you would have realized that it is not based on the fact that they don't like the face of Ghana or the face of our president, Akufo-Addo. But the benchmarks will not change because you are a Ghanaian and someone is an American. No. The benchmarks are there. The same way we have the foreign currency ratings, which also is a clear indication of your ability to generate foreign currencies enough to meet the obligations of your foreign debts. And when that cannot be seen clearly because of your balance of payment issues, you will be downgraded. And all the downgrades will come with the necessary explanations and data. Therefore, I just don't understand where our president was coming from. Now, let me read something that was posted in September 17th, 2018. And permit me, and this is the Ministry of Finance website. Standard & Poor's S&P, at the end of their recent assessment of the country, has upgraded Ghana from B- with a negative outlook. Thus, Ghana has achieved a credit upgrade for the first time in almost a decade. This achievement has come about with strong effort in monetary and fiscal policies. Debt dynamics declined significantly for the first time in almost a decade. The primary balance recorded a surplus for the first time in almost a decade, and a successful issuance of bonds at the international market during a global economic downturn. Congratulations to the management and staff of the ministry and its agencies. Going forward, investors are upbeat about the progress. We need to sustain the progress made so far and not derail in our efforts. Ken Oforiatta, Minister of Finance, remarked on hearing the news of the credit upgrade. So my question was, you jubilated when you were upgraded, and clearly you were able to identify reasons why you were upgraded from B- to B with a positive outlook. So my question is, why question it now? When you are a beneficiary of that.
But does it not...
Subsequently, in 2018, 2019, consistently you have been on the global market, sourcing for funds and receiving funds.
But does he not have a point when he says that at the time that these downgrades were happening, there was a financial situation that he says was due to COVID, and subsequently there was the Russia-Ukraine war. These are global events that were shocks to our economy. In that time, it is not the best time to be telling everybody, do not put your money in this economy.
Sena, we were not an island with COVID. COVID hit everywhere. And no matter how COVID hit, the severity does not shield anyone from being assessed on the benchmarks of the credit rating agencies. The credit rating agencies will not suspend their benchmarks. And it is never true that it is COVID. Again, if you permit me, I will read September 14, 2021, from the same Ministry of Finance. And I should read everything, but permit me to actually just read excerpts of it so that we can make a clear. It reads, S&P in particular maintain Ghana's rating on the back of the growing economic prospects and the relatively transparent and responsive political institution. The stable outlook balances risk from fiscal and external financing pressures against the country's medium-term economic growth prospects. Understandably, both credit rating agencies raised some concerns about Ghana's debt, affordability, and levels. If I can repeat that side again. Understandably, both credit rating agencies raised some concerns about Ghana's debt, affordability, and levels. The government, however, is committed to debt sustainability and fiscal consolidation. As such, between 2019 and 2021, the government has undertaken various liability management measures to proactively reduce the external debt stock and the interest expense burden. Sena, clearly, it was not as if all of a sudden in 2020, when COVID hit, then we were taken off the global market. It is not true. In fact, our ratings in 2019 and 2020 afforded us the ability to go on the global market and borrow $3 billion. 2021, the signals and the warnings were all there written in capital letters. And on the website of the Ministry of Finance, they had actually also indicated the warnings. So, if you were taken off the global market in 2022, you cannot therefore claim that it is because COVID hit and we were facing COVID, the reason why you were taken off. That is highly irresponsible and ridiculous.
But do you agree when he says perhaps we have a disadvantage when it comes to this market, and we might need to look a lot more inwards as Africans to create institutions that cater to our needs and that understands our peculiar situations?
I agree 100% with that. And the reason is that Africa must actually put up a capital market to serve our purpose and interests. But what I disagree about the statement is the fact that even if Africa should have its own capital market, you will still need rating agencies to actually use a set of benchmark to assess your credit worthiness to actually operate on that market. And those credit agencies will work similar to what the S&P, Moody, and Fitch are doing today. You cannot compare the EXIM Bank, which is a bank, to a capital market like the Eurobond. And that is clear. And that is why I say with I don't know what to say with all the shame that my president can go out there and speak ignorantly. Who wrote the speech for him? Who advised him? Did we not have anybody to educate him on the issues of the capital market, the global capital market? I mean, he is ridiculing all of us as Ghanaians. And that is why I feel very sorry and ashamed that he could go out there on the international stage and speak so ignorantly and ridiculously. Say now.
Because I heard him use things like were the favorite child of bondholders. Secondly, he says that the bondholders the investors proved that they were not our friends when we were in difficulties, that they were exiting the economy en masse, weakening our currency. And are those all comments that suggest he does not understand how the money system works?
Sarah, again, that is why I do say that it is ridiculous, funny, and childish the way our president speaks. I'm sorry to have described it this way, but if we cannot tell ourselves the truth, I don't know who will do that for us. So now we were in this country. In one of the outings of our president, he had said clearly that a small audio that came out necessitated the dampening of the cedi for the dollars or for the foreign currencies. Are you not aware of this? That some 2 minutes audio had damaged this economy. Today, what are we being told again by the same president? That we were what? Darling boys. On the international global market, there is no darling boy. All debt will be assessed relatively to each other. And the issuer will equally be assessed based on his own physical and monetary performance. There is no darling boy anywhere. The figures were not churned out by the credit agencies. Your debt levels was not a creation of S&P and Fitch. It was a creation of your economic handlers. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about here?
So it's money. It's money that somebody is lending to you. The same way a lender will treat somebody who they have lent money to will be the same way these bondholders will treat us. When they realize your money is going, they'll act to withdraw.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now you are 100% right. When the U.S. started hiking its rates, its interest rates were being hiked by 25 basis points consistently over a period. it makes it relevant and justified that an investor will pull out from a place like Ghana, an opportunity like Ghana, and invest in dollars with the US, which is more profitable or had become more profitable because of the heightening of the rates. As against Ghana, that has given every indication that there is a high possibility of defaulting. There is a high possibility of defaulting on its loans. Will you keep your monies in there? The moment the indicators come on, the moment you trigger certain benchmarks, you are telling the investors that, look, it is time to move away and find another safe place to put your money. Ghana had become unsafe, and that is fact. That is the truth. You see, when some of us had said that you are being creative with your assessment of the economy and some of the information you are putting out, we were told to be doomsayers. But what happened? The international investor is not interested in our politics, although they are interested in our political stability because they have their investment here. They are not really interested of our MPP and NDC. They will look at our numbers and our performance to take a decision always. And that is what happened. Nothing else.
Well, let me conclude then by asking you, is this assessment correct? Because he's saying the worst we could have had was a liquidity crisis, and explain the terminologies to us. But because of the way the foreign investors acted, the bondholders and others acted, we ended up in what they called a solvency and banking crisis. Is that where we are now? And what would the liquidity crisis have been?
Again, I said, I'm sorry, but I still have to say, he spoke out of ignorance, and I'm so sorry. I mean, very sorry. I have to use this for our president. So sorry. He spoke out of ignorance. What is liquidity crisis? The mere fact that you have a liquidity crisis is an enough grounds for me as an investor to move out. If you say you have liquidity crisis, what you are saying is you do not have enough cash, or you cannot generate enough local currency through fiscal policy to actually service my debt. Why should I keep the debt with you? And so the moment you have liquidity challenges, which you shouldn't do, at all times you should ensure that you are spending, or your expenditure is at a level your revenues can cater for and still be able to pay for the service of your debt and its other obligations. That is what you should have prevented. Failure to prevent liquidity challenges, failure to prevent that, will actually trigger the fact that the investor community will lose confidence from you and move away. And I am saying that the Ministry of Finance on its own website acknowledged that this challenge existed in 2021. But still, the credit agencies remain resolute with Ghana and did not downgraded us. So we could still be on the international market.
Okay.
With all the challenges we had. So why are you now hitting at them? It is pure, in fact, he spoke out of ignorance, and it is ridiculous for a president to do that. To a country such as Ghana, this is the height of ridicule. This is just not acceptable.
Thank you very much for speaking to us, Nii.
You're welcome, Sena.
Nii Yarboi Annan is known as the one Don in Odododio. Depends on when you meet him, his names are different. That's Nii Yarboi Annan. He's a financial analyst. Thank you very much for speaking to us.